want a piece of me.
When Britney Spears speaks, the world listens. But this time, what she said wasn't about fame, music, or her comeback. It was something far more haunting. In a late-night Instagram post, Britney quietly dropped a line that left millions of fans stunned. "I feel like brain damage happened to me. No camera crews, no interviews, no manager filtering her words. Just Britney typing from her phone, letting the world see the pain that still lingers behind her freedom." For a woman who's lived her entire life under a microscope, this felt like something different. It wasn't a rant. It wasn't a performance. It was raw honesty, the kind that makes you stop scrolling and whisper, "Is she okay?" She shared a photo of herself on horseback, talking about her shoulder blades like wings. Then she compared herself to Maleficent, the Disney villain who loses her wings but finds them again in the end. But when Britney wrote about wings being taken away, fans quickly realized she wasn't just talking about a movie. She was talking about her own life. Back in 2018, Britney says she was sent to a rehab facility against her will, a place that cost $60,000 a month. In her memoir, The Woman in Me, she described being forced to take medication, losing her privacy, and being watched every moment. She said she couldn't dance, couldn't drive, couldn't even shut her bedroom door. For someone who once defined freedom on stage, that kind of control must have felt like a slow disappearance. And now, years later, she's finally putting words to the damage. "I couldn't move for months," she said. "My logic and mindfulness were destroyed." For a performer who once spent her life moving, dancing, and expressing herself, saying brain damage happened to me isn't just about her health. It's about losing the very thing that made her her. Still, even as she shared this pain, Britney ended her message with something quietly powerful. "I have, of course, moved on from that troubling time in my life, and I'm blessed to be alive." It's the kind of sentence that sounds peaceful on the surface, but carries years of heartbreak underneath. Because maybe that's what Britney's really saying, that healing isn't about pretending the past never happened. It's about living with the scars, even when they still ache. She survived control, criticism, and betrayal, and even if she feels like her wings were taken away, she's still here, still trying to fly again. But what she revealed next about those wings and what they truly meant to her shocked fans even more. When Britney posted that photo of herself riding a horse, most people just saw a simple image: the wind, the sunlight, the peace. But the caption told a very different story. She wrote about her shoulder blades, comparing them to wings. And then she mentioned Maleficent, a story about power, betrayal, and reclaiming what was stolen. In the film, Maleficent's wings are ripped away by someone she trusted. She's left powerless, broken, and betrayed. But in the end, she finds those wings again, stronger than before. Britney's fans didn't need her to explain the reference. They already knew what she meant. For years, Britney's wings, her freedom, her creativity, her control, were taken away by the very people who were supposed to protect her. Her father controlled her career, her money, even her body. The courts signed off on it. The industry stayed silent. So when she talks about wings that were taken away and locked in a secret holy place, she isn't just quoting a movie, she's reliving her own life story in a few cryptic lines. The way Britney writes, almost like poetry, has become her way of expressing what she can't say outright. She calls her wings holy, untouched by the cruelty of others. It's a symbol of the part of her that no one could ever truly take. Her soul, her spirit, her connection to something higher. It's not bitterness, it's faith. Her post reads almost like a riddle. Anything holy is never forgotten. Not that this has any relevance with me, but I find it incredibly interesting. But fans knew better. It had everything to do with her. She might pretend the comparison isn't about her life, but every sentence bleeds with truth. This is the side of Britney most people don't see. Not the performer, not the headline, but the survivor trying to piece herself back together. The wings she talks about aren't made of feathers. They're made of memories, pain, and resilience. It's almost like she's saying, they took everything from me, but they couldn't touch the part of me that still wants to fly. And as fans tried to decode every line, one question lingered in the air. What really happened in those 4 months she spent in that facility? Because what she revealed next about that time made her brain damage confession even harder to hear. In 2018, the world thought Britney Spears was taking a quiet break, But behind the headlines, she says she was living through a nightmare. In her memoir, Britney revealed she was forced into a $60,000 a month rehab center by her father. She says it wasn't treatment, it was control. Her phone was gone, her privacy erased. She couldn't drive, couldn't shut her own door, couldn't even take a bath alone. Staff watched her every move. She says she was put on lithium, a drug that left her dizzy and drained, while being told to smile for the cameras. For 5 long months, Britney couldn't dance, couldn't move, and felt like her body didn't belong to her anymore. My logic and mindfulness were destroyed, she wrote, a chilling line that finally made sense of her Instagram words. Brain damage happened to me. It wasn't just a breakdown, it was the moment she realized the world had stolen her freedom and her spirit. But what happened next would reopen every wound she thought had healed. After months of being trapped inside that facility, Britney says her body felt like it didn't belong to her anymore. The dancer who once moved with fire on stage now struggled just to feel alive again. She wrote, "I couldn't dance or move for 5 months. For someone like Britney, that wasn't just pain, it was identity loss." She remembered how she used to swim with her sons on her back when they were little, moments filled with strength and laughter. But now she felt weak, disconnected, like the energy that once defined her had vanished. Still, in her post, there was a quiet strength. "I've moved on from that time in my life," she said. "I'm blessed to be alive." Those words weren't denial, they were survival. Bit by bit, she started rebuilding herself through faith, music, and the small freedoms she'd once lost. The spark might have dimmed, but it was still there, waiting. Because even when her body couldn't move, her spirit never stopped fighting. And just when things seemed calm again, someone from her past would bring the storm right back. Just when Britney seemed to be finding peace, a new storm appeared. Her ex-husband Kevin Federline's tell-all memoir, You Thought You Knew, was about to hit shelves, and it didn't hold back. Excerpts claimed things about Britney's parenting, her past behavior, and even hinted at fears she'd faced behind closed doors. The timing stung. Child support payments had ended, yet suddenly, the headlines screamed her name again. Britney's team fired back, calling it a profiting off her pain move. Fans, already protective of her, erupted online. Some saw the memoir as sensationalism. Others feared it would reopen old wounds. For Britney, this wasn't just another story in the tabloids. It was a reminder of how the world could exploit her life, no matter how much she'd healed. She had survived years of control, criticism, and betrayal, yet here was another chapter threatening to pull her back into the spotlight in a way she didn't ask for. And still, she remained quiet, letting her words on Instagram speak louder than any book excerpt could. "All I care about is my kids," she reminded the world. But with the book's release just days away, everyone wondered, would Britney's journey finally get the peace she fought so hard to reclaim? Or would the pain resurface all over again? Amid all the chaos, Britney shared a memory that was deeply personal, a final conversation with her grandfather before he passed. He told her something simple yet profound. "Promise me you won't care what these ignorant people say." He reminded her that the world could be cruel, that people would try to tear her down, and that fame often comes with a heavy cost. But most importantly, he told her to stay fearless, to never let others make her small or weak. For Britney, those words weren't just advice, they were a lifeline. They became a shield against the constant judgment, the endless rumors, and even the latest storm surrounding Kevin Federline's memoir. She wrote on Instagram about keeping that courage in her blood, about refusing to let herself be crippled by fear or public opinion. In a life that's been dissected, criticized, and exploited, her grandfather's message became a source of strength, a quiet anchor that reminded her who she truly was, beyond the headlines. Even with her wings taken and challenges still looming, Britney carries that advice forward. It's what keeps her moving, surviving, and slowly learning to fly again. As soon as Britney's Instagram post went live, the internet exploded. Fans flooded social media with support, concern, and disbelief. Hashtags like #PrayForBritney and #BrainDamageClaim trended almost instantly as millions tried to process what she had revealed. Some viewers expressed heartbreak, sharing memories of growing up with her music and feeling protective over a life that had been under the spotlight for decades. Others debated the meaning of her words. Was this a reflection of old trauma or a deeper, ongoing struggle? The reactions weren't just about sympathy, they were about respect for a woman who had survived years of control, betrayal, and public scrutiny. People were connecting the dots, her cryptic wings metaphor, the rehab ordeal, the memoir drama, all threads of a story that had finally been told in her own words. Even celebrities and journalists chimed in, praising her honesty and courage. Fans rallied, creating memes, emotional posts, and commentary that spread across TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. It was a reminder that Britney's voice still mattered, that her story still resonated, and that no matter the headlines, the world was listening. But with Kevin Federline's memoir just days away, the online buzz was only the beginning of the next chapter. Through all the pain, the control, and the public scrutiny, Britney Spears has endured and survived. Her Instagram words, her memoir, even the criticism from her ex-husband's memoir, all paint a picture of a woman who has lost much but never lost herself completely. When she speaks of her wings, it's more than a metaphor. It's a symbol of resilience, freedom, and the part of her that no one could ever take. Despite the scars, despite the trauma, Britney is slowly reclaiming her life on her own terms. Her honesty reminds the world that healing isn't linear. Some days are light, some days are dark, but every step forward matters. She has moved on from the darkest chapters, yet she carries their lessons, a blend of pain and strength that makes her story unforgettable. And while the drama with Kevin Federline's memoir looms, Britney's message is clear. She's still here, still flying, and still inspiring millions who have watched her rise, fall, and rise again. Her wings aren't just returning, they're stronger than ever. A reminder that survival isn't just about living, it's about learning to soar again.